Hey guys, Ivan here. So after everything settled down at New York Pro, there seemed to have been a little bit of a backlash. People are not really happy with the outcome. So many people thought that there was some kind of a robbery, that they didn't expect this kind of result. I noticed the comments, I noticed other people from their YouTube channels saying the same thing. What they're basically saying is that Ian didn't deserve to win, and based on this look right here, when you look at him right now, you can make that point for sure, but let's watch this video till the end, and I'm gonna give you my take, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I'm a big fan of Ian, actually. I mean, I watch Fouad Abiad's podcast, and he's a regular guest over there, so I know a lot about him, and that's why I was really happy that he won it, and I didn't doubt the fact that he deserved it. But let's take a deeper look. So first off, right here, Hassan Mostafa probably looks the best. He probably looks like a winner. Though as the judging went on, he was slowly fading, while Ian was getting better. I think this has something to do with water retention. The lights were on and these guys are flexing all the time, so they were sweating and Ian was getting rid of the extra water that he was holding. While the same thing probably happened with Hassan, but he was probably just watered enough. And if he lost some water, he would look flatter. And I think that's exactly what happened. While Ian, last time he did a show, he did a Tampa Pro and he lost to Hunter Labrada, he said that he was drinking about 4 to 5 liters of water. In this show, he had 9 liters. Guys, 9 liters of water on a show day. That's unheard of. This is something unique. I don't know how Patrick Tour came up with this formula, but based on what I heard from Ian's interview, it's not really a formula for a show. It's basically what they were doing day in, day out while they were prepping. So they didn't really do anything drastic for the show. They looked at this day as just another high carb day. And it worked, guys. He wasn't super shredded. Definitely not. He was a water buffalo, really. But he was lean enough. And he had this crazy fullness and this crazy size, and that is what is winning the shows today. It's the fullness. It is the fullness. It's not really the conditioning. It's way different in classic, but in open bodybuilding, you need to be lean enough. You can't be fat. You can't be super water. You need to be lean enough and dry enough. And Ian was lean and dry enough, and then you need to be full and big. But again, let's take a look at the rest of the guys, because maybe some of them were better, and surely they were. Some of them were better in certain poses, in certain angles, but the question is, was that enough to say that they were robbed, that Ian was gifted this first place? Let's take a look. So first off, this pose, Ian probably looks the worst. He doesn't look very good. No, Hassan looks like a winner here, to be honest. But then when they turn on the side, I think Ian is definitely looking the most impressive here. Ian or Max Charles on the right. Max Charles from the sides, he looks absolutely amazing. He probably had the prettiest midsection and the fullest and the most separated chest. His legs from the front and from the back looked pretty bad, but from the sides they looked amazing. And he has the angle over here. He's closest to the camera. John De La Rosa, pretty soft, not separated. Ian looks really impressive. Hassan narrow to the shoulders, and that's why he doesn't look so good in the side poses. Justin Rodriguez, who actually took second, not super impressive from the side. And Patrick Moore, just a big disappointment. He wasn't super peeled as he needs to be competitive against these guys, and he was just not big enough. These guys are all freaks, mass monsters. From the back, you can see exactly what I'm saying about Patrick. Take a look at his back and overall his physique. He's too tiny, he's too small. He needs to grow a lot to be competitive against these guys. Max Charles, the same thing I said before. From the back, not very good. His legs and his hamstrings, and his back itself, horrible. Back doesn't look aesthetic at all. It looks not symmetrical, not developed, not complete. Glutes not super separated, lean but not very separated. He's probably not flexing them properly, and no separation in hamstrings really. Ian, though, not his best pose. From the back there are guys who looked much better, like John De La Rosa, like Justin Rodriguez for sure. Justin took second, I believe, because of the back. Because of his back shots. And you're going to see that in a moment, when he does back double bicep and back lat spread. Again, another side shot. Again, I have Max Charles and Ian here in the top 2 when it comes to side poses, at least this quarter turn. And now we come to the front double bicep. You can notice that John is soft and he's probably the worst looking here. So we're not gonna focus on him, and that's why I paused the video right where he's not really flexed. But I had to do it because this is the only time when Ian actually did the pose properly. He couldn't do it properly first because of Hassan. Hassan just elbowed him right there. Now you can see that Max Charles looks very polished. He has great biceps, great V-taper, really good abdomen, good chest, but the legs are not that, that level of Ian, for example. Hassan looks super impressive. Not the prettiest structure, but those quads are just something special. Out of this world. Probably one of the best, biggest quads of all time. Maybe the biggest. This is in the ballpark of Tom Platz. Let's be honest. It is. Justin Rodriguez, front double bicep, aesthetics. What is aesthetics? He has no idea. This is looking pretty nasty. I'm sorry to use that word, but this is how I would explain it. Horrible front double bicep from him. Patrick Moore, again, he's a good bodybuilder. He needs to be super shredded to be impressive against these guys. He's just small. So in this pose, Ian doesn't look great, but who looks better? Probably Max Charles. But how many other poses can Max win against Ian? Not many. And we're talking about the upper body. If you just compare their legs, it's night and day difference. So in this pose, Ian doesn't look very impressive. But who else looks more impressive, that much more impressive? They're all very close, right? The lineup was stacked, but these guys weren't exactly super well prepared for the show. Most of them came, more full, on the full side, not so much conditioned. Aside from Max Charles, he probably was the most conditioned guy here. But is conditioning that important? In open bodybuilding, not really. It's not just how the judging works. It's, judging is not as subjective as you guys may think. It's not about who the judges like the most. They have their criteria. They have the criteria, and they have to judge by that criteria. So here, take a look at the Max. What's wrong with his chest? His stomach doesn't look good, and his legs look horrible. So he does not look good in this pose. He probably looks the worst here. John, smooth. Ian, however, looks surprisingly well in this pose. This was one of his worst poses before because of the chest mainly, but now it's one of his strongest. Just look at this V-taper. Look at how big those legs are. Look at how much are lats popping and the size of the arms and overall flow. He looks the best in this one for sure. And I guess the next guy, I would go with Hassan, but as the judging went on, Hassan looked less and less impressive. Justin Rodriguez, not very aesthetic. Patrick Moore, not very big. Honestly, guys, I'm not a big fan of Justin Rodriguez because of his midsection. It's just not very good. But his back is world class, and that's why he places the way he places. Now we come to the side chest. As I said, Ian's side poses were pretty much unbeatable in this lineup. Take a look at this. Small waist, huge legs, big arms, chest looks decent. What else do you want? What else do you need? Just compare him to Hassan here, not even comparable. To Justin, not even funny. The guy that looks pretty close would be John here because of his round shape and because of the hang on the hamstrings and the roundness overall, but he didn't have the polish. Max Charles looks decent, very conditioned, but not that good. And Patrick Moore, obviously the least impressive guy in this lineup, definitely the last spot in this top 6. And now they're switching these guys around a little bit. So they want to compare John against Ian and John against Hassan mainly, and Hassan against Max. So and also Ian against Justin. So let's see how these guys compare. Fortunately for Ian, we are starting with a side pose, side chest pose. Ian takes it no matter what. The second one in the side pose, I will go with John and then with Justin. By the way, the placing at the end of the show was, if you guys don't know, Ian first, Justin second, John third, Hassan fourth, Max fifth, and Patrick sixth. Then you had also Antoine Valiant in the 7th spot, Quinton Area in the 8th, and Dwayne Walker in the 9th place. Now we go with the back pose. So again, as I said, Ian didn't really win a lot of shots from the back. However, Justin Rodriguez absolutely nailed these. His glutes were peeled, his back was developed head to toe, shoulders, spinal erectors, lower lats, upper traps, everywhere. Just a lot of development, a lot of conditioning. John De La Rosa also looked really good from the back. Hassan looked decent, but as I said, as the show went on, he looked worse and worse. If he kept looking the same from the beginning, he would have probably won the show. And now Ian did this. So first he flexed his glutes and then he popped them out. And there is a difference. When you do this, your lower lats come up a little bit more, but your glutes look a little bit less shredded. And it is harder to flex the glutes and the hamstrings when you do this. But you get better retaper. So, be my guest, choose whatever you look the best at. But I think it was a right call. And this is the reason why people are saying that he was out of shape, because he's the only guy here that's doing that. But he had to do it because of the lats. And I think it was a right decision. I'm sure he put a lot of thought into this. And it worked well. He won the show. Here Max Charles looks pretty good as well. But again, there are a lot of poses for him that looked horrible. But yeah, this is not one of them. Justin Rodriguez, again, from the back, that's why, he was really impressive from the back. That's why he took that second place. And now we come to the back lat spread. Again, not a very good pose for Ian. Very good pose for Justin, for John, and the other guys as well. And these are the poses that Ian didn't win. And the poses in which he looked less conditioned. And that is probably why he got the backlash. That's why he got roasted. But guys, come on, when you take a look at this pose right here, how can you just not give this guy the first place? Come on, this is looking like a Mr. Olympia. Come on, this side tricep, absolutely outstanding. Outstanding, he's absolutely annihilating this lineup. Nobody comes close to Ian in this pose. His glutes do look conditioned. Everything is conditioned. His waist is sucked in, small, the smallest waist right here on the stage. Maybe even smaller than Patrick's. Waist to shoulders and to quads ratio. The chest is looking good and separated. The shoulders are insane. Very, very impressive shot. Very impressive pose. And he does not look watery. He looks conditioned in this one. He doesn't look super conditioned from the back. That's the only thing. That's the only criticism that I can give to him. He didn't win all the back poses, but everything else was good enough. And now we come to the abs and thighs. This is a funny one. Usually a funny one in open bodybuilding. Some of these guys are doing pretty well. Like Max Charles, his abs are looking developed, but there is a gap in between, and the quads are looking pretty bad. Hassan Mostafa is doing a solid job. John is fine. Justin is horrible. Patrick is okay, but yeah, this is probably one of the worst abs and thighs I've ever seen. This is on a ballpark with Phil Heath. How he can't flex the abs? I don't know what's wrong here. The quads, the thighs are looking good. That region is fine, but the abs, what is this? A mess. Definitely looking the worst in this pose right here. I have to say it. So, not a very decisive win. Ian didn't really absolutely destroy the lineup, but who was better than him? Who was better than him? Who would you give this victory rather to? I don't think anybody else was much better. Now we come to the most muscular. And this is a good pose for Ian. He was better the year before. I think he was more impressive in 2019. Overall, not just in this one, but here you can see why. His chest looked fuller before. Even though he's overall very full right now, something happened to his chest. His chest kind of melted. This one, yeah, I think it's won by Ian, because he's overall the most complete guy. The quads are just conditioned. Like, there are veins and there are separations all over the place. The chest is also separated. The arms are probably the biggest here. Just very good V-taper, very good flaw. You can just, you can nitpick his physique and find weaknesses, but, who looks better here? Who looks better than him in this pose right here? I feel like the judges had a really tough job here to decide who beats who, because none of these guys really came in top-level shape. They were all pretty watery, right? But it was about who was the biggest, who was the fullest, who had the least amount of flaws. And I think that was Ian Valier, and I really like this look. I mean, you know, I'm a fan of open bodybuilding. I really like the freaks. And when a guy comes big, big like this, and he's conditioned enough, I mean, look at the glutes. Like, you cannot say that he is not conditioned. The glutes are lean, guys. I mean, these are not the most separated glutes ever, but they are lean, right? The back, not the most developed back ever, but improved from the last year. He improved on that. He digressed when it comes to chest, but back developed for sure. Again, the side poses. The side poses were what determined a winner here, probably. I mean, it was close between him and a couple of other guys, but the side poses were like night and day between anybody else and Ian. So, again, not the most conditioned version of Ian, not the most conditioned bodybuilder ever on that stage, but overall the most complete package. And I absolutely do believe that the judging was properly done based on this high quality video. I mean, I wasn't there, it's definitely different in person, but based on this, it looks like the judging was done properly. It was a good call to give him the victory and to give Justin Rodriguez that second spot, and everything else was just the way I would do it as well. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like it. Tell me what do you think about the outcome of this show. Subscribe for more bodybuilding videos like this, and all the best, guys. Keep it old school.